With the second pick in the 2024 NBA Draft, the Washington Wizards select Alex Sarr from Toulouse, France, overtime elite and Australia's Perth Wildcats of the NBL.
So there we go. Alex Sarr, officially the newest member of the Washington Wizards. A Frenchman, Craig, drafted with the Wizards' highest draft pick for the second straight year. Last year, a little bit of a surprise out here on draft night when Bilal Coulibaly's name was called. But Alex Sarr, Craig, has been the consensus here for the past week or so. What is Washington getting in this French big man?
Alex Sarr is a versatile defender with a ton of upside. He's got a good feel for the game. And defensively, I think the thing that is so impressive is he's a guy that can guard 3, 4, maybe 5 immediately and could grow into definitely 2 through 5. Yeah. If not, and certainly not be lost on switches when he has to guard point guards because that happens in the modern NBA. Sarr is a guy who has great mobility. So when you think about sometimes bigs getting driven past or now they don't navigate screens in the pick and roll, those are the kinds of things that Alex Sarr is not going to struggle with based off of his athletic profile and skill set. Yeah. He's long, he's got good bounce, so that allows him to be a shot blocker and a rim protector, something this team has desperately needed. He also is a rim runner, can finish on pick and roll lob situations, which is something this team has actually played much better with when they've had that in and out of the lineup over the last couple of years, even last year, where obviously they weren't successful. I do think he's a guy who needs to put weight on to really be able to take the beating of playing the 5 every day. But, we've seen Bilal put on 20 pounds of muscle, it looks like, this offseason. We know that's something this team and this organization now has the resources to help with. So he's a very, very intriguing prospect. I think he's the right kind of fit for what they want to do, and I think he's a pick who helps them establish their identity moving forward, which is going to be a defensive first team that also possibly speaks a lot of French.
I think my favorite trait about
nothing
him.
For that joke? All that analysis, they get nothing for the joke at the end.
But look, I think the number one thing that attracts me to Alex Sarr is what you mentioned first there, the defensive versatility in today's NBA to be able to switch on to guards in these ball screen situations and ball screen actions. It's honestly, to me, the number one trait that a big man needs to have. And I think with Alex Sarr, he brings you that from day one. My only question mark here, and I'm not poo-pooing on the pick at all, like I continue to say, we're at the mercy of the evaluator. I trust Mike Winger, Will Dawkins, and company to make the right pick. My only concern is how raw he is right now offensively and what type of contributions you can get from him, not just this year, because I understand it's a longer-term process on that end of the floor, but how long is it going to take before he is a credible threat offensively and someone that makes teams pay on that end of the floor?
I think it depends on what you consider a threat. And this is kind of what I was saying, right? Today, coming into the league, he's a rim runner threat. He's a guy who can set a ball screen, run as fast as he can to the rim, and be available on a lob. And that is really valuable in the modern NBA because it causes defenses to collapse, and you either get the lob dunk or you get the kick out for 3 as those defensive players come out of help position or come into help position from guarding the perimeter. So he can do that now. He's also more than that now, though. He's a guy who can catch the ball in the short roll. He'll turn it over some probably in that because it's a new speed of the game. We've seen this like a lot of the WNBA players. Like Caitlin Clark's turning the ball over like crazy because it's just adjusting to the length and speed of the game, but that'll come fairly quickly. I think the question is, when can he be the ball handler in a pick and roll situation? When can you isolate him? Right. And does he have the post game to do some stuff in the mid post where you can give him the ball and be like, hey, bro, carry us for some time. First against bench units as a rotational player and then ultimately as a star to finish games. That's the level I don't know if he ever gets to, but he does have enough mid-range shooting ability. He has shown some of that to where I think even coming into the league, he's not a zero offensively. He doesn't give you nothing. And then the last part of the offensive game that I think takes 2 to 3 years to get to the optimal level or a really good level is the three-point shooting. Yeah. That, to me, is the one that, unlocks him from useful player to all-star. And then if he can develop that off-the-dribble stuff, then you become superstar.
I'll tell you what, the fans out here on the concourse at Capital One Arena doing the Soldier Boy, Craig Hoffman, in honor of Alex Sarr being drafted. I think the consensus thought on Wizards Twitter is that this was expected to be the pick for a couple of weeks now. People are bought into this young man. What I want to ask you, Craig, in the grand scheme of things, I guess it isn't the most important. Do you think he starts from day one here in D.C.? Because that was something that I know people were critical of the team with Bilal last year. He didn't come in and start right away. And with this kid being the number 2 overall pick, I would have to think there's some sort of internal expectation that he's going to contribute right away.
I mean, I think the Deni trade makes it a lot more
feasible, yeah,
plausible.
Sure.
I think what the question is like, can Bilal play the 2?
Right.
Because
I think he can, yeah.
Because all of a sudden you were talking about like, okay, who's a good guard fit with either Tyus Jones or Jordan Poole or both? And frankly, you need someone defensively with size. And you talk about team building, that actually makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
If you all of a sudden roll out a lineup that is Tyus or Jordan at the 1, Bilal at the 2, Kuz at the 3,
yes.
Sarr at the 4, Bagley, or we'll see what they do at 14. Vucevic at the 5. Like, okay,
I can roll with that.
Like that's intriguing. That's a lineup that presents problems from positional size. I still think they lack scoring. I still think they lack shooting. Like there's still a lot of problems, and they're not going to be good. But like that is a lineup in which those guys can develop, and it's a lineup that you can try stuff with. And then you have Corey obviously off the bench. You have Jordan if you re-sign Tyus. I think Tyus probably is a sign and trade candidate. I don't know that he's going to be here, but like that becomes really interesting to me, and it expands the possibilities for a guy like Coulibaly, and he's going to put the ball in his hands, and he's going to have to create. And like we're going to find out about Bilal this year, but this is what the Deni trade does: is it opens up that opportunity. Where if Denny's still here, I think it's much harder unless you start Sarr at the 5, and I don't think that's what they want to do with him as a rookie. I don't think most people think he's ready for that.
What's up, kiddos? It's your boy Clinton Yates from ESPN. It's the Hoffman Show on the Team 980. Tell your mama I said what's up.